Man.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
I agree with you. Dr. Roto, get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It's already been an interesting morning, and we've got my friends Willie Walls and the great Swame Odell Blocker here. Guys, it's week 13. We were so close last week. If we had the courage to do a little late swap for a little Josh Jacobs, I think we'd all be rich right now.
Yeah, but we all listened to what they had to say. You when you're a cancer, we don't like soft tissue injuries, but they won't give me this week, you bastards.
What about you, Swami? Did you think about late swapping Jacobs, or did you say no?
No, but when I saw he was in, I knew it. You just got that feeling. You go, it's not going to be good, right? Because we were expecting him to be out, which meant they might have threw the ball a little bit more, and it just changed the game theory on it. But, I mean, that happens sometimes, especially when we got those, injury reports that are a little bit, on both sides of the fence. But, what can we do?
All right, so last week, guys, it felt pretty clear. We liked a couple of games, right? We liked the Chargers-Cardinals game, and we love the Raider game. So let's figure out this week, what are the games we're targeting? Willie, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 games that you're like, I need this game in my life?
I'm going to be underweight on one that everybody is on. And that's going to be, even though I'm going to have some, but not what people are talking about. That's the Detroit game. That Detroit game, I'm going to be underweight compared to the field on that one because everybody's talking about stacking that. Oh, this way and that way and this way and that way, but my favorite is going to be Los Angeles Chargers. I love that game right there. I like the Raiders game. I think a very interesting game, I'm going to have something a little sneaky for you, is that San Francisco Miami game.
I love that game. So I love that game. Love it.
I think that might sneak people where people not even looking at that, especially 2 particular players I love in that game.
Swami, what about you? Which games are you targeting?
I think I'm with, Walls on Chargers Raiders. I think we all kind of agree on Chargers Raiders. I think I'm going to disagree slightly on the Jaguars in Detroit. The primary reason for that is because it's hard to overcome the value that's in that game, right? Because we expected to be some points. Vegas expected to be some points. And the pieces in that game are so much more affordable than the other games. It's just, I don't think you can make up for that if you got, away from this game too much.
You got other value like, Scott, we'll talk about as we go further. There's value that I like that people are not going to be looking at. But let's go.
Okay, let's go. All right, let's start it up, Willie. Let's start with the Chargers and Raiders here, right? This is a game we all like. There's no reason not to. You've got Herbert, you've got Eckler, you got Keenan Allen, you got Josh Palmer. You come back, you've got Jacobs, you've got Moreau, and you got Devontae Adams. How are you mixing and matching that one, Willie?
Everybody's in play, including DeAndre Carter. He's in play. He's been getting a lot of volume. Both running backs are in play. Eckler, 11 of 15 for 60 yards. That's, 6 points plus 11. That's 17 points just on pass catching, alone, and it's just, the Chargers really, my favorite quarterback probably in the slate is going to be Herbert because they have given up on the run game. It's strictly passing. He's passing just as much as Mahomes, and you could pass against it. But what I like about it is the fact that he has busted him in the head in his career. He's had 5 games of multiple touchdowns. His last 3 is he had at least 3 touchdowns in each game. And I just think that I love this stack, and we got some value in other games that people might not be looking at. But I do agree. I'm gonna have a game stack on the Detroit game, but this right here is my favorite game that I'm gonna have more exposure to this game than any other game.
What about you, Swami? Is this your game of the week?
I like it a lot. I do. I think that this game has the potential to kind of to shoot out, and I think I would trust this game shooting out maybe more than I would the other 2. I know we haven't really talked about the Kansas City game a whole lot, and we just scratched the surface with the Detroit Jaguars game. But the only thing I'll say is, here's the cautionary tale I'll say. Something about Jacobs going off last week and going off in the way that he went off, it makes me feel like this week could be the week that he doesn't go off. Not that he's not, solid, but it could be more of a full game, and that could mean that it could kind of shift and maybe be one of those games where Devontae goes off. Just throwing it out there for the folks in TV land. And
I actually like Eckler better. I like Eckler better in this game than I do Jacobs, because of what you said.
And then on the other side, Herbert, we might not know who he's going to go to. Could be Carter, could be Palmer, could be Allen, could be Everett, but we know he's going somewhere with the ball. So it's just a matter of trying to figure it out. The great thing I like about all those pieces is it's not going to cost you a whole lot to put the stack together. Love it.
Las Vegas has Josh Jacobs rushing and receiving at 122.5 yards. They have Eckler at 102.5.
Wow. These two guys, to be honest with you, if you wanted to do a game stack, you could play them both together because they're both independently, could get their own. They're not dependent on the run. They get a lot of volume in the pass game.
But let me tell you why that's recency bias as well to the folks out there in podcast land. Last 4 games against them, he's got an 8, a 10, and a 13, right? Ooh. And this Josh Jacobs against the Chargers. So it included in week 1 where he only had 10 carries for 57 yards, right?
But you can't go by that because his usage now is totally different than it was in week 1. You remember in week 1 they were talking about that Rashad White guy that other guy was getting carries.
He's had 26 carries in one game last year, 13 in the other. He had 26 carries in the game the year before that, 14 in the other.
It's not the same. The defense is crap.
You got to hear me out.
They're crap against the run.
Understood.
It's not the same.
If they give Jacobs the ball, he produces. It's without question. It is if, for whatever reason, the game, it works out like this sometimes, where he just don't get his touches.
But listen, what I'm saying to you is this. If Jacob is healthy, the Chargers are one of the worst run defenses we have in the league. He is going to get his. It's totally different from week 1. Where they are in week 1 is different from where they are now in the confidence level that they have in Mr. Jacobs. They got it. But listen, they get 25 touches a game.
Doc, I get Willie's point, but these are divisional teams, and sometimes people overlook the fact that they know each other well, and that sometimes they play a little bit different even in these matchups. And I'm just looking at the history on Jacobs. It's some reasons why this game, not that he won't be
I agree with Swame in that if they fall behind, it's less of a Jacobs game.
Yes, that's
if
all I'm
winning,
saying.
It's more of a Jacobs game. So I'm not saying Jacobs disappears.
Yes, sir.
He just goes from good to great.
That's all I'm saying.
Depending on game flow.
Yes.
But listen, okay, let's look at the last week's game flow. They were behind. Jacob still got his. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but Seattle's a bad defense too.
They was up by 14. Their defense is just as bad. Their defense sucks. I'm just saying, listen, I'm more worried about his if it wasn't for his calf, because I got a feeling he might pop something. You know how things work, this week. So I will be more on Eckler, but I'm just telling you, it don't matter what game flow with Jacobs anymore.
But he got 7 targets out of the backfield, and he got there again, fourth quarter. Once the game got close, fourth quarter and overtime, he had a whole nother game. So Jacobs, once the game became close, he was much more of a factor than when it was elite.
Can I just say this, Willie? You're right about Jacobs, but I hate chasing last week's points.
Exactly.
And I feel like I'm chasing the 47 when I don't want to chase a 47.
No. What I'm saying is you could play him. I'm going to have some Jacobs. He's not a core for me, but I'm going to have somewhere I'm going to game stack this. I'm not going to be a fool. I'm going to play them both in the same lineup. Okay. I think it's going to be more of a Devontae Adams game. You know how things work.
He had almost 40 touches. 40 touches. That's not normal. Even in an overtime situation, really was only 1 touch in overtime. So that's basically 40 touches during a regular season 4-quarter game. unheard of.
I can do a team here that I like with Herbert, Eckler, Palmer, and Adams. I can't get Keenan Allen, and I don't think. But I can do it the other way.
Okay. That's fair. I can get with that.
I'm doing it, but I think I could do it.
Let's
All
talk.
right. Cincinnati, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes on the road. You know when Mahomes gets on the road, he's throwing. I mean, Vegas loves this game. They have Mahomes at, I think, at least 305 yards and 2 touchdowns at a minimum. They have Joe Burrow in this game. How do we play this game, guys?
This one's a little sneaky here, Willie. I've lost some sleep this week thinking about this game. There's been a lot of talk about the way that they've played Patrick Mahomes over the last couple of games and how they need to run the ball when they get those 3 linemen, 8 people in coverage kind of downs. And they said they've kind of confused and they've slowed down the offense and all of these things. And that the key is just to run the ball. And if they have a more balanced attack, that they'll likely, walk through the Bengals defense. But then there's the other side of me that says that with Chase coming back, the Bengals are at home where they've done pretty well against the Chiefs, that they could keep that offense off the field and that they could actually turn the tables where the Chiefs have to throw the ball, which will make it less likely that they can even stick to or even attempt to try to, get this running game going in this one. So I think it's going to come down to your game theory and who you like. For my money, I still like Mahomes, but I would prefer to go with Isaiah in that backfield as a leverage play.
Willie, you agree with that?
Pacheco, he's definitely in play, but I think in order for Kansas City to win this game, they'll have to score points. And I think, the way you beat Cincinnati is through the slot. And I think Sky Moore is one of those sneaky plays this week at 3,100 that I think can make a difference because they have ramped him up every week. If you notice, with his snaps, which I do like. And I just think it's going to be more of the interior type of guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I like this game, but they some expensive rascals. You know what I mean? They're really
Sky Moore, Willie. You're not.
Huh?
You're not taking down a tournament with Sky Moore.
But listen, let me say this.
If he has a good week, it's 8 points.
Yeah, but what you're not looking at is you're not looking at his snaps. If I'm going to play a receiver from there, I'm going to play Sky because you hurt them on the perimeter, and his snaps has increased every game. That's what I like about it.
His fantasy points have not.
Yeah, but they've
no.
Because of the injuries.
Right.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, Sousa came back. Sousa was in 29. Sky actually had just as many snaps as Schuster.
Well, Sky had 6 targets the last 2 weeks. He's gone 5. Has had 10 receptions on 12 targets in the last 2 weeks. And how much is he going to
do the same thing this week?
He's 3,100.
All right. I can get behind that. At 30.
Yeah, only thing I'm saying is this. This guy has immense talent. Got hands the size of meat lockers. Okay, I'm just telling you. Sometimes you gotta look at it as they ascend.
I thought you had hands the size of meat lockers, Willie.
Huh?
I thought you had hands the size of meat lockers.
Well, I ain't gonna say that. I will leave that alone here.
You gotta expect for Schuster his snaps to increase, right? You gotta expect that as the offense now with Scanlon and Juju back in there, with Sky Moore coming in there, it's going to be spread out a little bit more. And for that reason, you don't want to pay up. So I get why pay down, but there's a lot of concern about 8 points.
I just think the way Cincinnati is they're really good against the boundary receivers. You beat them through the slot, and I just think Sky Moore is an interesting target at 3,100 minimum.
What about Kelsey?
I mean, Kelsey's a great play. I mean, everybody know that. But I'm gonna tell you, I like there's a guy in the other game that we'll talk about later that I like better than Kelsey this week, and is more affordable. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Is it rhyme with Skittle? Interesting.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, let's get to that game. I love this game, guys. I love it. I can't even tell you how much I love it. I'm going to tell you why. The number 1 rushing defense in the league, the 49ers. The number 2 rush defense in the league, Miami. So what are these teams going to do? They got to air it out. They have to air it out if they want to play this game because they can't run it. Right? Now you also have Jeff Wilson and Mostert. Who knows what's happening there? So I like Tua. I like Tyreek. I like Waddle. I like Trent Sherfield. Don't laugh. Revenge narrative. I like Brandon Ayuk. I like Jimmy G. I like Debo. I like Jawan Jennings. And I loved Kittle because, Swami, you called it last week. The Miami Dolphins cannot stop tight ends whatsoever. Jordan Akins. I mean, the guy looked like the best John Mackey out there. So talk to me about this game, Swami. Do you like this game as much as I do?
I like this game a lot, Doc, but you just, man, you sound like this is Christmas Eve for you. I do like it a lot. I like Mr. Kittle a lot. You can always talk me into Debo, especially with his price kind of creeping down just a little bit. And even though I think Miami's run defense has improved, I think that the 49ers are more creative in the way that they run the ball than most teams. As far as the jet sweeps, putting Debo in the backfield, running 3 and 4 backs, even though I think Mitchell won't be able to contribute, I still think they try to be a little bit more balanced and they try to get those guys involved either out the backfield or some creative way in the backfield. But anyway, so I do like Kittle a lot. I'm very interested in Debo because he's been quiet. And on the other side, I just think what I'm going to call the Twin Towers, Willie, even though they're small in stature. I think Mr. Waddle and Mr. Hill could be very interesting this week, which then means that, if we put this game on a game stack or a full stack, based on, only having to pay up really for Hill, that this seems like this could be one of those games that can take down a tournament, Willie. What do you think, Sid?
No, I mean, that's why I mentioned this game. I mean, these guys got 3% ownership, 4%. And I'm going to tell you something. Both teams are flawed. And what I mean by that is their competition that they had, it was some doo-doo. You understand what I'm saying? If you look at what quarterbacks they went through, they ain't go through no quarterbacks. So now you got the true test now. The only cause for pause is they do have a lineman for Miami. When he's out, they're a little different. So hopefully San Francisco. But these coaches are smart. Remember, they both are coming from the same coaching tree. So they're going to know how. One thing I like about the Miami Dolphins coach, he schemes. He's a schemer. Okay, he schemes guys open. Not a big dumb like the Ravens or the Commanders. They don't scheme jack. They don't know what scheme is. They scheme guys open. And listen, Mr. Tyreek Hill, I'm going to have a lot of the Tyreek Hill kills. Tyreek Hill kills because Tyreek is in the slot 40% of the time, and then what are the 49ers weak at? Oh, they're weak in the slot. Don't you think that coach know that? Oh, they're going to have some kind of special play that he's going to do an in, out, and an up. And Tyreek going to be doing one of these numbers right here. When he does that, and then when he catches the ball, and he's going to be waving at him as he goes to the end zone. That's how it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. This game, and I'm interested in Garascalo. Give me some of that too, because this is a game for them. Because I think they're going to be behind, and I think it's going to force them to throw the ball. And I really like him. Now, I'm not going to be on Debo. I'm on Ayuk. Ayuk has been getting more targets. I'm not playing Debo because I don't like that. That rascal got some kind of soft tissue injury. And you know how I feel about soft tissue injury because he's questionable.
Right.
I'm going to bring one wrinkle into this. Teron Armstead is likely out. Even with him in last week, didn't it seem like the Texans got to Tua a lot? Tua's getting hit. If Tua's getting hit against the Texans, what's going to happen when the 49ers are there and Nick Bosa's breathing down his neck?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm a little worried there.
When he's out, that's why I'm not really on Tua as a quarterback. I'll get my quarterback from, the Raiders game, but give me the pieces that go with it. He's going to get hit. He's going to get hit up, but he's going to hurt him too. So I think it's going to be a win-win situation.
All right, guys, let's absolutely talk about this Jacksonville Jaguar Detroit Lions game, okay? Because this game is getting steamed. People like it. And there's so many players here, so many. You've got Goff and Lawrence, both at good values. You've got Swift, who's at a crazy value. Jamal Williams, ETN is expected back. Christian Kirk, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones in a revenge narrative, Zay Jones. There's so much here. How do we piece it out, Swami? are we using it? Are we not using it? I feel like I don't want to use this game, but I need to use at least one or two parts of this game.
I think you can use this game, and the reason is the value. And I think you got to take some chances, obviously, but they're not bad chances. Like playing Swift on the carpet, that's not a bad chance, right? I could easily see him breaking out for 60. You just hope he's getting more than the snaps he's been getting. Hope he's getting more touches, and I think he could, especially in the game where Jamal Williams isn't getting all the love inside the 5. So if you put St. Brown into that lineup, maybe Swift, and you got Goff as your quarterback, we're talking GPP, Willie. I see you getting a heartburn. And then on the other side, if you're using Kirk, and even if you got the kahunas to even play ETN, I don't love it, but I like it. And you maybe avoiding Zay Jones after that breakout game he had, because it might just move around a little bit. If it's not Marvin Jones, if it's not Kirk, I don't think Agnew, but I think it's something here with these values that will allow you to play some of those other plays like Walls mentioned, and getting a Hill in with a Kittle, and then playing a couple of running backs that we've already talked about as well. I really, really like this game.
Willie?
Okay, ETN is definitely in play. Now, if I'm going to do a 2-man stack, it will probably be ETN and Brown. If I'm going to do that. But let me tell you about the receivers. Brown, 27% of the team targets the past 5 games. Okay, a target on 32% of his routes. That's only second to who? Tyreek Hill. Okay, so Brown is a great play. Then you look at Kirk going against the Lions, who's 30th against opposing slot receivers. The past 2 weeks, the Lions have allowed, and you saw what happened with the Buffalo slot. You saw what happened in that game. We don't need to explain to that what happened. The last 2 weeks, they have given up 8, 127-1, 11, 129-0 to slot receivers. So, you also going to do Kirk and Brown. So, you got them there. But one thing that these guys like to do, both teams, and if you really notice is, and this is what gives me cause for pause, they like to run the ball. If they can run the ball. Now, if they control that run, both teams are run-based teams, okay? So everybody's going to be going to this, stacking this whole game, and this game could be like a 21-24, type of game where, different people, because with Detroit, they play different running backs. That's why I really can't get with Swift. He don't get enough. He does not give me enough. He doesn't give enough for me. He's in a 3-man shared committee.
Doc, I'm not mad with his perspective on Swift, right? Mm-hmm. But who I like even less, if you're talking about playing outside of a stack, is ETN, who you seem to love. Why? Is because Detroit, number 1 versus RB1, Singletary, Barkley, Montgomery, Jones, Mostert, nothing. So I don't know why you love it.
If I'm going to play it. That's why I said this game to me, I'm under this game. I mean, he's not a core, but I'm just saying if I'm going to stack it, I will stack it that way. I mean, Brown is a play regardless. We know what Brown is. Everybody knows what Brown is. I mean, Brown is the best play in this game, period.
You're getting quarterbacks under 6,000 that have an opportunity to throw 3 and 4 touchdowns. Do they
have an opportunity? But just because he came off that game against the Ravens, you know how things go with this bastard. This bastard will get 1 or 2 touchdowns the next game. That's what I'm saying, I know what Herbie going to do, so I'm going to have a game stack of this game, but I'm going to be underweight on this game compared to others.
Swami, let me give you Vegas. Vegas has Trevor Lawrence at about 253 yards. They have Goff at 244. Does that feel right to you?
I could agree with both of those, but because I don't think they're going to have a lot of success, and I'm talking about the Jaguars running the ball, they're going to have to do it with the short passing game and out of the backfield. So if Etienne can get up to maybe 7 targets, which I think he'll probably go over 6, I think that's probably going to be a scenario where I would want to then have him catching out the backfield. They like those routes where the back's kind of going up the sideline against a linebacker, stuff like that. That's going to be the best, way that I could see that game theory going for us or something like that.
I'm just going to tell you this. Give me Marvin Jones over Zay Jones this week. Telling you straight up. Telling you. I'm not buying into Zay Jones week from last week.
I'm more on Kirk, but I'm not mad at that. I'm definitely not. I could see maybe, as Walls would say, maybe one lineup, but I wouldn't go over on Zay Jones.
No, I'm on Kirk too. I'm saying the three guys I'm on in this game are Kirk, St. Brown, and Marvin Jones. I don't think I'm going to have anybody else.
I could agree with that. Williams is sneaky though. We keep not giving Mr. Jamal Williams his props, and
he doesn't catch a. He only has touchdown equity. He doesn't catch a football. He doesn't catch a football.
From 5, and they're at home again. That's all I'm gonna say every week.
All right, here's a game, guys, that we have to talk about: the Jets and Vikings. Okay, Mike, did you see what Mac Jones did against the Vikings? Threw for 382 yards. 382 yards, and Mac Jones can't throw for 192 against the Bills. What is Mike White going to do? Let's not forget Garrett Wilson, Zonovan Knight is cheap, and our friend Trevor, right, loves Elijah Moore in the slot, and Tyler Conklin's on a revenge narrative game. I mean, Willie, are you in on the Jets and the Vikings and TJ Hawkinson, Dalvin Cook? There's a lot to like here.
Yeah. So now let me say this.
Can I help him out?
No. Hold on. Listen, I do like Zonovan Knight. I love him as a back in this game because I think he's going to get. He doubled the other dude. I forgot the other dude's name, but he doubled the other dude in snaps. And I think the coach talked about him. The tape doesn't lie. If you can't see the tape, doesn't. This guy's talented. So I do like him. Wilson, listen, great play. Listen, the Vikings they made the Patriots. You saw the Patriots yesterday. Thursday, they made the Patriots. I mean, look formidable. I mean, my goodness, they stink. Their secondary stinks. They play zone, and they're going to get beat. And yes, I hate to say it, but Mike White is in play. He is definitely in play. Now, you can also you can do a Jefferson if you want to, but I don't like picking. On the Jets defense as much, so, but a revenge narrative with Hawkinson, you can use
with Conklin.
Oh, I ain't playing that rascal.
Listen to me, Willie. The Vikings are terrible against
Hunter Henry. You're right. You're right. I saw Hunter Henry looking like, look like Kelsey last week. I ain't seen him look like that in a week. So you're right. Listen, I'm gonna have a little bit of it. I see what you're talking about, but I think Wilson will be a core. To be honest, I love the play for him. I think he has a connection with White. I'm not playing Elijah Moore. Hell no, I ain't playing him. You can go ahead and chase that little dream. I ain't playing that rascal. I saw what he got.
What about the Vikings, Swame? Are you playing Jefferson, Thielen, Hawkinson, Cook? You like this game as much as I do?
Again, Doc, I don't know if I like it as much as you do, but I think I see why you would be interested in it. And the reason why, because a lot of my endorsements they're matchup based. And so when you don't have a great matchup, I don't like to try to fall in love with just the stack, right? Thielen and Jefferson their matchups are much, much tougher than the matchups that it seemed like they'll have on the other side. And so while you like the fact that you can kind of get this very valuable, very affordable stack if you wanted to go with, say, White, Moore, and Wilson, that's so enticing, and getting away from that back that I don't trust. I'm telling y'all right now, listen up, folks out there. Hear me good. Look deep into the Swami soul. I'm not playing these rascals we ain't seen off of these small sample sizes, and I don't care how much they are. His little $4,600 butt better be in the game. We don't even know if he gonna get the ball, but if he
by the way, I got to 238. By the way, so I got more time. Listen, I'm gonna play this guy now. I'm not gonna say how much. I'm gonna have like probably 30% of them. I'm gonna have a little bit of something because I want to do something with those other games late. For some stacks that I want to do. So Mr. Wilson, and he is going to have to be part formula. And I will have a balls to the walls call that nobody's thinking about this week that I like a lot this week. That's very interesting.
But can I say this, Doc, of why I think you could be onto something? Now, we've seen this Jets defense who people have, starting to respect a little bit, but we've seen them against Green Bay. We've seen them against Buffalo. We've seen them against, Cincinnati. I don't know if Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense is scaring them, right? I think they feel like they match up well and they like their chances. I'm inclined to agree. And if we can't figure out the back and forth in this game, it means that the score and the totals come down, and we looking at one of those New England Jets kind of games where it's 3-3, 10-10.
Let me give you one more game, and then we'll talk about our game stacks and our balls to the walls calls. Why are we overlooking the Eagles and Titans? You cannot run on the Titans. This is an A.J. Brown revenge game. Jalen Hurts can certainly throw the ball. He's good. I mean, this feels so obvious to me. You got Hurts, Devonta Smith, and A.J. Brown. You bring it back with Derrick Henry and maybe Treylon Burks. You got yourself a big old fat old game stack there, Willie. Can you get behind this at all?
I'm not big on I'm not I'm not big on a game stack because Tennessee's defense is they're okay. They're okay. And see, the thing that they do well, I haven't seen Hurts win a game by passing over 40 times, like Burrow did. But I do tell you this. I know AJ's in play, but I'm gonna tell you the guy that I like, Mr. Quez Watkins, is a guy that I like. And the reason I like Quez Watkins is this: they now go to a 3 wide receiver set now. He plays 66 out of 80 snaps. Okay, and what he does is now, what this is what I like about him is the fact that how do you beat Tennessee? Deep targets. He has most deep targets on the team. He has 27% of their deep targets. And Tennessee, and they've allowed 6 deep target touchdowns. So I think, and you saw that, and you saw what happened with T. Higgins last week, going deep last week. I think Quez Watkins is a guy that they're ramping up, that they're putting as that third receiver. And I think he's a very sneaky play that works with what Tennessee has trouble with. Because you're not running the ball. Do not play Sanders, nobody. You're not running the ball against this team. But I'm telling you, going deep against them and Quez Watkins getting snaps, 3,900, I think he's a very, very interesting player to me.
All right, so I'm giving you a $100 bill. Who's the stack? What's the game? What are we doing?
Well, with that $100 bill, if I was Walls, I would take the easy Herbert play. But I'm not Walls. I'm Swame. Notice the crown. What I would do is I would take somebody out of this Jacksonville Lions game, and I would take.
Oh, that's easy. That's a chalk.
Don't let me shut you off. Go ahead.
And I would take a shot there. And there's a couple other players that we didn't get to mention yet that I want to slip in before we start talking balls to the walls on the stack. Yeah. We didn't talk about Aaron Jones. He ripped him up the last time. I like the spot that Montgomery's in. We didn't mention Mr. Barrow, but he could be interesting as well. We didn't talk about Pierce and what he might be able to do, because if they try to come in and give him 5 carries again this game, they are going to get roughed up, and they're going to allow Mr. Watson to come in there and have a great game. And so it's a few pieces that we just haven't necessarily covered that I think are interesting as well. But if I had to take a stack, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm really leaning towards maybe that St. Brown, Goff, and coming back with Kirk, or the other way, where I'm going Lawrence and Kirk and coming back with St. Brown. I feel like it's some money there, Doc.
Swami, before we let you go there, Aaron Jones, Montgomery, you mentioned them. Do we like those guys to pair them in that game?
I don't know if I would pair them both, because sometimes when I feel like a running back is really going off, I like the receiver on the other side, but there's no receiver to like for the Bears. So I would probably then maybe look at going with Montgomery and then coming back with, he's been so bad. I don't even want to say Lazard, So I might have to do it with my hand over my mouth.
Now, hey, let me tell you something. That Watson dude is explosive. That dude got some juice in him. But let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you who people are not talking about that I think might be sneaky. Fields. Fields is better. You got to remember how many yards did he have last week? 157. Now, if you give Fields a couple of those same lanes, he taking it to the house. Now, the only thing it causes is his non-throwing shoulder, so it's just the pain that he needs to take in it. But I'm gonna tell you something. People are not mentioning him at all. He's very quiet. He's been out because he hasn't been there. But in that first game against him, they didn't utilize him the way they should utilize him. Right. He is a very, very interesting play in this game that people are not mentioning. And I just started looking at it. I said, And I looked at what happened last week. I said,
now, Willie, 3% owned. 3.
I like it.
I like it too. A lot. I like it. Because you know what? You're getting a guy who could put up 40. Literally 40. All right, Willie, is your stack of the day going to be the Chargers Raiders?
Yes. I mean, I probably Palmer. Give me Palmer, give me Eckler, and then bring it back with Devontae Adams. To be different on the other side. Devontae Adams and Monroe. No matter how you can bring it back with 2 there. And then my favorite, like I said, my little 1-2 combination that I'm having a lot of lineups is going to be Mr. Kittles and Mr. Hill. I love those two going against each other.
All right, give me the balls to the walls call from Willie Walls. Who's the guy? Who do I want to see?
It is Quez Watkins and Sky Moore.
He did it again. What is Sky Moore?
I'm writing it down. Quez and Sky. All right, who's Swame says?
Swame says Chris Moore of the Texans. That's where we're going this week. I give an honorable mention to Richie James and his spot in Claypool, just like Walls did. But I'm going with Chris Moore this week, Doc. And I'm not mad at Elijah Moore. Keep an eye on him. Something started happening there. But right now, with no Cook, I think they're going to have to throw the ball against Cleveland because I don't know if they trust Pierce. But I like Pierce if they give it.
All right, I'm going to give you a sneaky stack in the game. It's actually not a stack. It's a correlation. Visionary.
Uh-oh.
One side, I like my man George Pickens. On the other side, I like Cordell Patterson. I think Pickens, went to UGA, grew up a Falcons fan, probably has fans in there, inspired to play well. The Falcons can't cover anybody. And just when you forget Patterson's name, just when you write him off, he puts out a 2-touchdown week and you're like, he just broke a slate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have one team with both those guys on.
Interesting. What if Jake London can show up? Maybe he can.
Listen, I'm not touching that quarterback. They stink.
He's milk of ass of milk?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. All right. Time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. For Willie Walls, the great Swami, and Dr. Roto, be well and
take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.